fired up.
The snap, the put down, the swing of the leg. It is on its way. It is good! Cincinnati wins the American Championship.
Cincinnati, a 20-point win tonight in Kansas City.
Cincinnati is legit. Welcome to the national scene. Wes Miller and the Cincinnati Bearcats with the win.
And guess what? The Joe Burrow era is just beginning.
On the unmute button. Welcome back. It is another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. Don't act like I was the only one who had issues during the pre-production on that entirety.
We might lose Ed here in a second as he fades back into this. Like,
I gotta turn this thing off.
Oh my God. Your voice again, man.
Switch back.
No, it's still, you're still
God.
on a hard tune.
You're on your RPG.
Are we back?
There you go.
Hey,
Good Lord.
we did it.
I feel not so bad about not being able to find the mute button now. It is another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. I am Aaron Smith, as always, joined by my co-host, the self-proclaimed best producer in the city, showing that he may be a little rusty today, Ed Mayhall. And
That was all on StreamYard. That was not on me.
Sure. And
Okay.
Jeff Howell, the
Hola.
co-host of the newest, most popular Sunday morning show, sweeping Cincinnati by storm, the Bearcat Brunch.
Bearcat Brunch. It's going well. We're
Yeah.
3 weeks in. I think people are enjoying it. I mean, either that or they're maybe Chad's going in and deleting all the negative comments off of
They're not deleting them off of Aaron's nightcaps. I can tell you that.
Not wrong.
Zing. No, I think it's going really well. It's a lot of fun. So, till Chad realizes I don't really know what I'm talking about and kicks me off, I guess.
I mean, ignorance is bliss, right?
At this point.
Yeah. So it was a busy weekend here in Cincinnati. There was Oktoberfest.
There was like a race or something going on.
A 10K, 5K of some sort. I don't even know. There was the Bearcats game in Paul Brown / Paycor / Peugeot, whatever you want to call the stadium now. My first time up in the box and on the field was pretty cool.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, how was that? I didn't even think about that. How was that?
It was the third week in a row now that the Bearcats have had a game where pulled pork has been the main dish. So I'm definitely looking forward to something not pulled pork at some point this season.
Yeah, pulled pork. Is it at least like pretty good though? Like,
The pulled pork in Arkansas was above average.
Arkansas.
Not great, but above average. The pulled pork last week, average. And the pulled pork this week, I was over pulled pork, so I didn't even get it.
oh, really?
Yeah, I did the brat, the
Bummer.
Met. Well, it was Oktoberfest, so they had brats and Mets and macaroni and cheese. No sauerkraut. No.
Oh yeah, the macaroni and cheese makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
The only thing they had for the brats and Mets was ketchup and mustard.
brown mustard.
No, they had they did have sriracha, although I'm not sure what for. With
Sriracha.
with maybe to put on the pulled pork. I'm not entirely sure what you would use sriracha with in any of those items, but and traditional hot sauce. So,
Speaking of pulled pork, went to General Jim's today.
no sauerkraut, Geoff. Yeah, what'd you get at Jungle Jim's? An ostrich egg?
No, although that would have been nice.
Alligator.
No, I got 2 slabs of pork belly.
If you're gonna post a comment, you have to leave it up for more than.
I should have, but you already said it. 2 slabs of pork belly. So
Okay.
I'm going to be making pork belly burnt ends and my own bacon.
I'm smoking this weekend. I'm smoking a shoulder or a Boston
shoulder, yeah.
butt. I'm not sure which. We'll see whatever's cheaper.
Ooh, I like the shirt, Jeff.
Oh yeah, that'll come into play later.
Okay, all right.
And I also have I'm doing macaroni and cheese on Sunday and using some of the extra pulled pork from Friday on the smoked macaroni and cheese.
Oh, use some of the the burnt pieces. And now you welcome to the cooking podcast of the Bearcats Channel Network.
I think it's about time.
Chad will be chiming in here pretty soon.
About time to get into that first topic, though.
Yeah.
That's the wrong one. You know what?
Load up the intro.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
At least his voice is still
We were
working.
listening to music at the beginning, and I turned all the music all the way down, so the slider was all the way down instead of 40%.
All good.
Yeah.
So, have to open up with the travesty that was Cincinnati in Dallas, and they lost another game in a fashion which they should have won.
I mean, are we talking about the first week game, or are we talking about
both games now? They should have won these games. They were winnable
Absolutely.
games, and they still find ways to shit the bed. Joe Burrow has another lackluster performance, ending up 24 of 36, just shy of 200 yards with 199 yards, one touchdown, averaging 5.5. I mean, he fumbled. It was recovered by the team, but he also had, I mean, it's not as if he's not throwing the ball to the usual guys. T. Higgins had, I think, 10 targets. 10 targets. He caught 6 of them for 71 yards. Jamar Chase, 9 targets. He caught 5 of them for 54 yards. Hayden Hurst caught 5 of 7 targets.
Yo.
That's a dude.
Hayden Hurst looked really good, actually.
It was only 24 yards on those 5 catches, but they were
big ones.
They were in big situations. It felt like
the first down that he
Yes, I know. Yep.
He was coming to the left side of the field, just kept the motor going, got up. His face was purple. He was screaming so loud as he came back. I mean,
it's an emotional dude.
We said when that signing came through, I would like to state claim that we were high on the Hayden Hurst signing very early on, when some people were still sad about who was leaving.
Yeah.
Dog.
Well done. So
She off for that one.
I know there were lots of people who said that Joe Burrow is holding the ball too long. I believe PFF only placed 3 of these sacks on the offensive line this week of the 6. Last week, I think they only placed 3 or 4 of the sacks.
4
of the 7. So Joe right now is accountable for 6 of his sacks, according to PFF. What have you guys seen as you're watching these games? How are you feeling? Ed, we'll start with you, just because I know Jeff's answer will be long-winded, as they usually are. But
I just feel like there's something missing. Collins is not blocking. He's not the bodyguard that he said he was.
The interior is blocking well in passing downs. The exterior, to your point, yes, they are not blocking well in passing downs.
It's not. It's all of a sudden, last year they didn't know what to expect from the Bengals, and now they've watched. It's like they have somebody at all our practices. There could be somebody on the bridge recording the practices. We should probably look into it.
So
it's probably a possibility.
To that point, they did say that there was, again, their snap count is a little predictable. What they're doing in the pre-snap is even predictable at this point. So they're not showing many wrinkles. They're not really running anything as far as off cadences or anything like that. So again, that's actually really, really good stuff from you, Ed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's just, they're not cohesive. They're not playing one as a team. I mean, if Joe could get just a little bit more time, I mean, Chase can get open and T. Higgins can get open and Boyd can get open. I mean, it took to the 3rd quarter for T. Higgins to get a catch. And then he scored the touchdown, right? He had the touchdown.
I don't think Tyler Boyd or T. Higgins were targeted in the first half.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Boyd only finished with 2 targets, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it makes plenty of sense. And then Higgins had the touchdown, I believe. Actually, he did because he's on Parker's fantasy team, and I remember yelling for him. But it's like, what's going on? Like, what are we practicing at practice? Like, are we sending the tape to the other team? Like, do we mean to send them like a welcome gift, but accidentally sending them, the tape? Who knows? I don't know.
Jeff, what are you seeing so far?
Matt brought up a good point over here in the chat. Tony Pike has been pretty vocal talking about beating this Tampa 2, and it's something that has come up on literally every outlet that has covered football since the start of the season. The Bengals are facing a lot of this, like the cover 2. They're taking away the deep ball, the big explosive plays that we dealt with that defenses had to deal with facing the Bengals last year. How many times have you heard the line from Joe, like, have it all, throw it up there, Jamar's down there somewhere? Well, Jamar's down there, but now he's got some serious coverage going on. They need to utilize the middle of the field more. They've got to do that, and they have to use the running game in an effective manner, and they're not able to do. Like, it seems like there's, like, I've seen a couple highlights now of things that I didn't see Sunday while I was watching the game, where there were cutbacks. Go ahead.
For Joe to finish 19 carries, 57 yards, that's awful.
And I don't feel like necessarily.
What was the cutbacks? What was the cutbacks point you were going to make?
Yeah, I feel like there are holes. There are holes that the line is opening for him, and for whatever reason, he's overrunning the hole and trying to. I don't know if he's trying to make something extra happen going to the outside. You got to take what they're giving you, and when there's a hole that gets opened up in the middle, you got to take it. And I don't know what I'm not going to dump on him because I think he's a good running back, and I think he's going to end up, he made the comment that he left like a ridiculous number of yards out there last year. Well, I feel like he's doing the same thing again the first 2 games of the season. Like, he's had opportunities to make a cut back up the middle of the field, and he overruns it and runs right into the teeth of the defense. So if we can get that, Matt brings up a point that the slants are wide open. I feel like when they go to those slants, they're hitting them. It's not the big sexy downfield pass that, the 60-yard touchdown pass, the 50-yard whatever, like these crazy big splash plays. But if you start eating them up on slants, those big plays are going to open up. And I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect, maybe it would seem, between the guys on the field, specifically Joe Burrow, and the play calls and the schemes that are coming in. And we can get to the offensive line in a little bit and talk about that as well. But I mean, they're not grading out terribly. I think Cordell Volson graded out as one of the best pass blocking on passing downs, as one of the best pass protection linemen.
I want to say he was
like a rookie, like the best rookie.
I think it was best rookie.
Best rookie. So like, it's not like he's doing horribly. We have seen like Collins, for whatever reason, they chose not to block Micah Parsons on a play. I don't know if that's something that you really want to write in, like, hey, let's do that.
Wouldn't be advised.
I think Shannon Sharp actually tweeted it out, like, maybe put somebody on that guy.
I know we talked about this last week, so I'm not going to go too deep on this and get lost in the weeds on this. But why are you not gelling your offensive line when you have to go up against TJ Watt and Micah Parsons in games 1 and 2? What was the thought process?
My answer's the same this week. I don't have an answer. It doesn't make sense.
And I know Chad talked about, like, the Bengals made it last year because everyone was healthy and all of that. I get that.
And because of Evan McPherson.
I don't know that playing these guys for a couple series a game just to get them familiar with one another.
get some timing down, get the like. This is how he likes to block this guy, like whatever. Like he is what I mean.
It's different than practice.
Well, you guys had Garrett Campbell on, and he talked. That was last night, right?
Yeah.
It was last night. You guys
What
had
a
Garrett
fun
Campbell
dude to talk to, by the way.
Oh, it was a great interview. You guys had Garrett Campbell on the BBP last night, and if anybody's listening to this that hasn't listened to that, wait till this is over, then go listen to that.
Yes, Matt.
But he spoke a lot about like having a line that like has gelled together, and it takes some time for that. And these guys are all brand new to each other. You've got a line of guys who should, on paper, be significantly better than what we had last year, and you're not seeing it play out that way. At least to the casual fan. I know like PFF, I don't consider them to be casual fans, obviously, because they're going really down deep into the weeds on every single play and whatnot. But when you look at it as a casual fan, you're looking at Joe Burrow on his back more time. I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but he's on pace to get sacked 111 times.
Sheesh.
That's not good.
That's what the kids say, right?
I think so.
Ed, you're on.
Ed's muted, but he was agreeing.
Yeah, that is what the kids say. Sorry, I muted myself to move my microphone.
So, and I know we kind of like went down another rabbit hole, which I tend to do, but
okay. So I don't see it on the list. But is it time for? It's a call. There's a calling on Twitter. Is it time for Zach Taylor to stop making the calls? Yeah, Jack Taylor. Is it time for him to stop making the calls?
I said this on Twitter Sunday, right after the game, that he wasn't a good play caller when he was
Cincinnati,
the OC for the Bearcats. He's the head coach, which means he's got other responsibilities. You have an OC, relinquish the play calling. It's clearly the other team knows what you're doing. It's either not different enough from last year, or it's simple enough that people crack the code real quick. You have what else do we have an OC for? What's he doing? What is he doing if he's not actually calling the plays?
Jeff Geoff says let Burrow make the calls. I'm not against letting Burrow make the calls. I feel like Burrow can. I mean, apparently he was yelling at Zach on the sideline, like he was getting water or something, and heard Zach get ready to make a call, and yelled over to him, "No, let's not run that."
It's because it goes. It's deeper than that, because there was a play called. They called a timeout because they didn't like the look, and he's like, "I don't want an empty backfield. I need."
Yeah, that's what he said. Yep.
I need protection.
Well, see, so there's some people that say
Tony Pike started
that he thought he was saying go empty set because Joe Burrow tends to play better out of. I mean, we've seen him be able to move a little bit better and make those big plays out of an empty set. And apparently Zach Taylor's not a big fan of empty sets. So there was like some of that going back and forth. Either way, you've got a quarterback arguing essentially back with the guy calling plays, either telling him one or the other, right? So you're not on the same page either way. Whatever he's saying, you weren't on the same page.
Sure. Clearly.
And you can't have that happen.
No, you can't have that happen.
Also, I guess third down of the last drive, the comms went out.
That's what they say.
Well, you saw him a lot of times.
I would say the same
on
thing
that last drive. He was putting his hands over his ears, like trying to like. So I mean, maybe there's some validity to that. I don't know why they would. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to come out and say that the comms went out because it wasn't like there was anything horrendous there on that last drive. I mean, they drove down, they scored a touchdown, and
I'm just telling you what they said.
I know. I'm just saying, but it's not like anything like nothing went haywire on that last drive. They actually drove so maybe that is something.
Maybe
like,
that is why.
Go right? to let Burrow call these things. Like he went down there and did that. And speaking of which, I believe it was the 2-point conversion. Samaje Perine
blocked his ass off.
Handled Micah Parsons like he wasn't even there.
Better than the tackles.
That was nice.
And there was that tweet that went out. Somebody put, and I feel bad I didn't like remember who put the tweet.
But
it said our best offensive lineman is Samaje Perine, because he was out there blocking his tail off, and it obviously gave him time. But there are times that Burrow has seemingly had time in the pocket and guys are open, and he's either not seeing the field that way, or he has it in his head that he wants a big play and he's bypassing the easy short route. I don't know.
In 2 games, there's been plenty of guys who've been open on plays that he either tries to force a ball that is an incomplete pass or an interception, or ends up in just some other type fumble, whatever the case may be.
I really I need to go watch. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like there's been plenty of times this season already in 2 games where Joe just looks confused, lost. Can he not see over a taller line? I know Tua wasn't afraid to come out and say he couldn't see over his line. So I don't know.
Hey, if I can't see you, you can't. You can't see me. I can't see you. I can't throw you the ball.
I thought that was
Tua somehow is leading the league in pass yards, which is wild.
I will say, and I made this comment. I don't know if I sent it because I sent it to several text groups, but I don't know if I was Joe and like when they show Joe coming off the field, he doesn't look like he's got that same fire. He didn't until they drove down and scored the tying touchdown and 2-point conversion. Then there was a glimmer of it, and then they were back on the bench. And as things were starting to unravel at the end of the game, you could tell
well, everyone's body language is like that though. Jamar looks off
when they talk to him in the the post game in the locker room. I don't expect him to be in there and be like, oh yeah, rah rah, but there was just a little extra bit that looked like this isn't good and I don't see how we can fix it kind of thing. So I don't know if there's
when you're calling out play calling and your head coach is the play caller, it's not a good look.
He said we need to take more shots. They're like, did you not take any shots? He's like, I don't think they called any shots. Any deep, you know what I mean? There was nothing there.
They weren't afraid to air the ball out last season, and I have not. I feel like I've watched a scared offense. And when you're not opening up the pass opens up the run opens up the pass. And when you're not able to get either one going, recipe for disaster. What are we doing?
I wish I had time to watch Tony Pike's breakdown of what he was saying to do. I know there's I hope I say his last name, Matt Minich. Is it Minich or is it Minnick? You know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about. I want to say it's Minich.
So
but MINNICH.
Yeah.
Or
I think it's
one N.
I think it's one
N or two.
Okay. I think it's Coach Minich on Twitter. I know he has a breakdown thing, and he's put up some videos that he's.
Jeff Schwartz shit all over the Bengals this week.
Logan Minnick.
All right.
Okay.
Well done, Ed.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ed. But the other thing is Jeff Schwartz also is I wouldn't even say he's necessarily shitting on them as much as he's he was actually trying to figure out why this is going sideways for the Bengals.
Because these are all dudes. You signed 3 dudes.
So that's
everyone heralded their free agency.
That's kind of what I want to come back to because we've been kind of talking about coaches.
Think it's Pollock?
Is there so you have some guys last year that weren't super successful. They were just bad enough that they weren't horrendous. Just good enough they weren't horrendous. They were obviously not good. And then you go and you get what should be a significant upgrade to what you had. Not necessarily I think we all talked about we don't expect this to be a Pro Bowl line across the board, but they just have to be a little bit better.
I don't think it's Pollock.
And is it the scheme? Is it the way that they're blocking for is it the way that they're
The reason I say I don't think it's Pollock is strictly based on the fact that Joe Mixon was as excited as anybody that Frank Pollock was rehired. and they aren't doing that well.
I don't know that I have the answer necessarily. I'm just like reaching
Sure.
for
We're
anything that could make sense. Like
reaching for straws, sure.
You wouldn't think that when you bring these guys in, that it would start this way. And yes, they've been credited with about half of the sacks.
So I saw this. I saw a tweet. Was it a tweet? Oh, maybe it was a Facebook post today from WDN Today, and it says Andrew Luck was sacked 76 times in his first 33 games. David Carr was sacked 101 times in his first 32 games. Joe Burrow has been sacked 115 times in his first 32 games. We knew sacks were a huge issue, but this is wildly concerning to see the further comparison. Like, and those are two. I mean, Andrew Luck is a guy who is no longer in the league due to injuries from sacks and stuff.
I mean, he retired to kind of keep his
health.
His health. Now, the other thing is like Joe Burrow. Sometimes you got to look at like he did seemingly like this year. I would say more so than last year. He seems to be more content to pull the ball down and take off up the middle or around
a lot.
He's a terrible slider.
Hey, he's a horrible
Not
slider.
good at sliding. Not good at sliding at all.
Whereas like last year, I felt like last year he made some movement in the pocket, moved outside, was still able to like get some, I mean, he went crazy the second half of the season.
Jeff, he played baseball for Athens.
Well,
why is he such a bad slider?
Maybe he was a head first guy.
Or a pitcher.
Pete Rose type.
Maybe he didn't need the slide. Maybe he was just hitting tanks all the time.
Yeah, bombs.
I don't know. But
you still do sliding drills.
I mean, the defense though, I'll say this. The defense has looked pretty good.
And they're playing behind the 8 ball because the offense isn't giving them a ton to work with.
Anything. The drive, that last drive, they were talking about that last drive was like the longest drive the Bengals have had since like 2002. It was like, what did they take, like 8.5, 9, 10 minutes off the clock or something?
Yeah, it was a super long drive.
Time, not yards. Okay.
It was yeah. It was like the time, and I think it was like 18 plays or something.
It was most of the fourth quarter.
They were helped out with penalties as well, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. There was that fourth. There was they were getting ready to punt it or kick it. I don't remember on fourth down, and there was that offsides penalties or encroachment.
19 plays, 83 yards, 8 minutes, 54 seconds.
Was it the Bearcats or the Bengals games where they started on like the 1 or the 2 yard line twice?
I don't know.
It must have been the Bearcats.
On that drive, they were helped with a on a first down. Dallas got hit with too many men on the field. And then there's actually not another penalty listed.
There was an encroachment or something like that.
Joe Burrow's inability to slide helped him out a couple times, as ended up with
he did catch a couple of those, like
a couple defenseless or.
But you get that you get this huge drive. You drive down, your defense has done its job. Literally Dallas hasn't scored since midway through the first half. Into the first half maybe. Kind of the end of the first half. They haven't scored all second. They kind of let you get back into it. You were taking field goals after field goal after field goal. I was facing Evan McPherson in fantasy, so I was not so happy about that. But then you score this touchdown and tie it up 17-all. Your defense does its job. I believe was it a takeaway? No, it was a punt. They got a punt there, and then you go 3 and out. You come back out. That was one of the passes to the pass to Hayden Hurst there. 2-minute warning. Then a Joe Burrow pass to Mixon for 3 yards, and then you're down at your own like 15, whatever. You're down, and on 3rd and 3, you throw the ball 1 yard.
and I want to talk about that. Third down.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
All too often, this team refuses to run routes that go past
Sticks.
Yeah.
Why are we ran a screen on like 3rd and 15. What are you doing?
And all the way back to Matt's comment, the slants are wide open. They're hitting on the slants all day.
Because you're playing zone. You're playing zone. Of course it's wide open. We've all played Madden. It's been the same every single year. Why? Because that's how you beat the zone, with slants. And you've got 3 dudes that are all capable of running slants.
Now, I will say, I'm getting very tired of the takes that are coming out of the Twitter sphere. And I'm not looking at anybody in particular.
This team stinks.
Big Ed.
On Sunday, this team stinked.
Well, stinked.
Stinked.
They stinked.
It stinked.
They
He had a typo
out loud.
An out loud typo. You also
Dr.
put a
Seuss.
GIF. You also put a GIF on somebody's, like a response to somebody with a GIF that was misspelled. But that's
not my fault.
It's on brand.
Yeah,
I mean, you clicked it.
It's possible I clicked it. Who knows? I might have
there's
somebody
one that was
running my
spelled
Twitter
right.
account for me.
No, but like here's the thing, right? Like everybody, I mean,
It's the correct take. I don't know what you're gonna say.
the bandwagon is getting awfully light.
Oh, people are jumping.
Who are you to say that I'm not a fan just because I said the team stinks?
How many people on the Oregon Trail
say you're a
bandwagon
fan.
have died of dysentery right now?
Diarrhea, probably.
There's a lot of folks bailing from the Bengals bandwagon, and that's fine. I mean, the Bills are clearly the darling team of the NFL this year, so go ahead and go be a Bills fan. And I don't have anything against Bills fans. I think they're pretty cool. But
They're a little
I have
wild.
I have an issue with bandwagon fans. Maybe I should save this for the lightning round. I don't know, but
Oh no, I'm here for it.
if you're
Go
going
for it.
to,
That's why I
on
switched.
this.
That's why I
And
switched
my-
to the jersey.
my boy Joe Mixon got on the Twitter sphere and said, basically, don't be cheering for us when we
come
turn
back.
this thing around. Yeah, like if you're leaving, see ya.
And that's
Now,
fine. He can say that all
Sounded
he
like
wants.
Aaron at the end of the show. He's like, see ya.
Now, do you feel like people talk about gatekeepers all the time, like that fans shouldn't be gatekeepers of other fans, which I wholeheartedly agree with, actually.
Bengals fans are gatekeepers of all fans.
But do you feel like players should play gatekeeper of fans?
I think so. Have at it. Why not? They're on the field. They give praise when you guys are up, when fans are up in the stands cheering, and it's the end of the game and they need that extra boost. And yeah, thanks, we appreciate that.
They want the real ones, right?
But they don't.
But who are you to say that I'm not a real fan just because I'm criticizing the team for not playing well?
It's the
Ed,
way you go about it.
Have you ever used this phrase? They deserve to lose.
Yeah.
You and my dad. God rest his soul. You and
You
my
don't
dad.
think they deserved to lose that first game?
I dealt with this every single Sunday, and I'm like, Dad, if you don't want to watch the game, don't watch the game. But they deserve to lose? What does that even mean? No one deserves to lose.
It means they played so shitty that they don't deserve to win the game.
But when you say that, when you say they deserve to lose, when do you say that? Do you say that when they lose by 3 touchdowns? No.
When they throw
wrong.
When they throw
hold
4
on.
interceptions,
You don't say it when they lose by 3, 4, 5. You don't say, "Oh, they deserve to lose that game." You don't say that. When you say it, you say it when they're in a hole.
Doesn't make any sense.
When they make mistakes, they're in a hole, and then they come back and they almost win, and then you say they deserve to lose. That's when you say it.
That's like you self-consoling. That's what that is. It's self-consoling.
That doesn't make any sense.
You're right. It doesn't make any sense.
No,
so
what
don't-
you
so
said doesn't
stop
make any
saying
sense.
it. No, what I said makes
sense.
perfect sense
Plenty of sense.
because you're bringing up the first week now.
No,
That's
you
what you're
stink.
doing. You're saying I stink. Do I stink? No, I don't. I'm right.
No, you stink too.
I took a shower
team
and
that
I
came
put
out on the
deodorant
field on
and
Sunday
cologne before I came down here for myself
stunk.
to smell good, because that's what I do. I don't stink.
That team that came out on the field on Sunday stunk. Not
So
all
you're
of
saying
them.
so
Not all of them.
they deserve to lose just because maybe they didn't have their best game, so they deserve to lose, Ed?
Two games in a row, they don't have their best game.
Maybe that can happen.
Kathy Mulaney, we agree. It's been a long time since I think I don't know that I've ever said that, to be quite honest. But you're right. Somebody else needs to be doing the play calls.
Ed had an opportune time there to blow me up, and he didn't.
I probably could have. You're right.
But we still have too much to talk about.
But
that's what I'm coming at you with that, Ed. That's when you say it. Joe throws, had 4 picks and there was 3 other fumbles. There was 5 turnovers in that game. So 3 picks and 2 fumbles or whatever it was. So you're saying because of that they didn't deserve to win the game, but yet they were in position to win the game.
The only time I've ever said they deserve to lose was when they actually won a game and somehow eked it out, like on some crazy play or something.
I've said that during those types of games too.
Well, I feel like you say that almost every game.
I think I say that a lot during basketball
stink.
games, if we're going to be honest.
They stinked.
It stunk.
Stank. Stunk.
It was Ed. It's on Ed's porch.
Oh, the welcome sign with the C. Oh, I see what you're saying now. It took me a minute to catch that one. No, actually, it wasn't me. There's actually an interview out there where the people are defending themselves.
Well
I think
played.
Channel 9 went after them.
Well played, Darren.
It's a
well
good.
played.
It was a nice shot there, Darren. I appreciate you. No, I think as a Bengals fan, I've been a Bengals fan for many years, right? I think I deserve to say that team stunk.
I think it's the way you go about it, Ed.
I think
Your Loveland elitist attitude.
You just need to articulate.
I'm in Milford.
If you could just
what school
articulate.
district you live in?
Milford.
Is it?
Yeah. It's Loveland zip code, Milford schools.
Do you have the option?
No.
You can't call an audible?
Think Loveland's the less Milford people come over there? Come on now.
Close enough.
Right?
Not the way you spell.
We stink good. Stink, stunk, stank. That's what Dr. Seuss said.
Good Lord. Back on track, though. What does this team have to do to get right? I mean, obviously, you have a game against the Jets.
The ball.
You're playing Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco is
he beat the Browns this week, right?
I think he's been hanging out with Tom Brady because he's apparently tapped into a little bit of the fountain of youth.
Have you seen the meme going around of Tom Brady? When did Tom Brady start looking like the skull face emoji?
Yeah, I put it in our group chat.
Was you? Good job on that, by the way.
You're welcome.
Well, I can tell you that this week. I can tell you this week that Jamar's probably going to be, unless they move him around a lot. We might want to just stay away from the Sauce side of the field.
Everyone has.
That's just flat out respect, and us being Cincinnati guys that we are kind of every week now so far saying I told you so. But the other side of that field sucks, so they should be able to take advantage.
Is this a get right game though? Like
it needs to be.
Their defense is outside of that the other side of Sauce, where their secondary outside of Sauce is not good. We know that, but their linebackers and defensive line is not bad.
Okay, look, and then you get to our offensive line. We've played now 2 weeks together. They've shown some moments of playing well, giving Joe time in the pocket. That there are clips of it out there.
Geoff never bench Chase. That's silly. Risk reward.
Why would you do that?
No,
Geoff?
because they're gonna move Chase around. He'll be in the they should. He should be in the slot and then maybe on the
worst case scenario. He's gonna get you 50 to 70 yards without having a good game.
Fair point.
It's still pretty good.
So all that aside, like our offensive line at this point, if there's still some like crazy glaring issues after this weekend with Joe ending up on his back a lot,
Then what, Jeff? Then you'll say the team stinks?
No, then you either have to relinquish your play calling or you're fired.
If it's
before the season's over.
If Zach Taylor is going to continue to call the plays, because I think Zach Taylor is a great CEO, and then that's not like a hot take. That's been all over Twitter as well. I think he knows how to build a culture. He's got these guys. They want to play for him.
They like him. Yeah.
They like him as a coach. You're not seeing anybody choke each other out on the sidelines. So that's a positive. But if things aren't working, if things aren't gelling together after three full games here, you've got to start looking at what you're doing with, and they might be doing that between Dallas and going to play New York.
Real quick, what you just said there about, I think that Zach Taylor is a good leader and that the guys like him and that he puts together a good team, basically saying that he's a good GM, right? Who do we used to say that about?
I know exactly where you're going with this. I thought the same thing as he was saying it.
Go ahead, Ed. Is this a good thought that you're having?
It's a former coach, Marvin Lewis. We used to say that all the time. Let's let Marvin step down and go into the GM role and somebody else come in and coach.
Well, I don't even think you need to move him out of being a head coach. I still don't even think that's necessary. I just think maybe we either let the guy that they've hired to be the offensive coordinator call plays, or hand it all the way over to Joe and let Joe do everything. But I still think you need to have your offensive coordinator maybe rework the scheme. There was a whole thread about like how
Jason, yes, give Callahan the play calling duties. You're right.
There was a whole thread about how like because everybody's like, well, Peyton did it, Peyton could do it, Joe can do it. Peyton had a huge amount of plays to go from, and from what I understand, like the playbook for what Joe has and like what he's able to do with the schemes and stuff is not as extensive quite yet. And that could be totally wrong. But I don't know necessarily. I mean, we've seen Joe do some good things with whenever the headset goes out and Joe is apparently calling all the plays during that time. So if there's not a vast improvement against yet another inferior team, you've got to look at the schemes in the way, and maybe the way that the coaches are preparing. Maybe it's
I'll take it a step further, Jeff. I would even be okay if they lost this game. If they're losing it by a score more, if the offense is scoring 30 plus and losing this game, you can't hold this team back from scoring 30 plus. This team is built to score. Even if you don't want to go 30, 28. This team is built to score 28, 27. You don't think you can get 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals with this team?
I mean, the good thing is all the other AFC North teams lost. Well, that was kind of a golden opportunity that was handed to them to set everything back to even. And now I also have, when I go back to work, I have to deal with Cowboys fans, so that's not going to be fun. But I mean, we got the Jets this weekend.
If they lose,
they have to win that game.
Bengals Twitter is going to be in full meltdown crisis mode if they lose to the New York Jets
again.
And
then because then you've got a short week coming back against the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football.
Also, let's not forget the toughest part of your schedule, the gauntlet of your schedule, is the back end.
So really, over the next, I know we did our predictions of dub, not dub, kind of thing. That happened.
We're all looking at like 9 and 7 or 8
here.
and 8,
Let me take us to the bye week here. Jets have to win.
Have to.
Dolphins on Thursday Night Football at home.
It's looking scarier. because that offense is throwing points up.
Now our defense, I think I saw like the second half, like we were up like 28. That we've allowed like 6 points in the second half, like total between the two games over those 4 quarters. So that's good. Ravens, it's at the Ravens. That's going to be, you've got the Jets and the Dolphins to kind of get right, and then you got to go into Baltimore, and then you got to go play the Saints, and you better win that game. And then you got to play the Falcons, and then the Browns, and then the Panthers. So really, I know that the way things are right now, it looks like maybe this isn't possible, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you could be 7-2 going into the bye week.
See.
And I think it's entirely possible. And let's say you drop the game to the Ravens at Baltimore, and you go into the bye week 6-3.
I'd be okay. I'd be okay 6-3.
6-3. You can't.
5-4. I'm not feeling good.
No.
4-5. I'm feeling awful.
Because then coming out of the bye week, you're at the Steelers, at the Titans. Although the Titans got the brakes beat off of them. So, and then the Chiefs come here, and then you got the Browns again. And then you have the Buccaneers, Patriots, Bills, who look unstoppable, and then you finish the season with the Ravens. So you have to go in. Like I think if you go into the bye week 6-3, 7-2, and then say you win 4 of the last, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. So you go 4-4 at the end there, and you're what does that make you? 11-6. Do math right now. 11-6.
I'm not.
If you're 7-2 or you're 10
I'm getting very, very nervous about us attaining double-digit wins.
Unless you're 7-2 going into the bye week, because here's the thing: if you go into the bye week 7-2,
certainly capable of pulling off 7 straight, but that's
I mean, I realize it's the NFL. That could be it is what it is, but I think if you're going into the bye week 7-2, that means that they've gotten things rolling in the right direction and have started to figure out what they need to do to attack this new look, right?
Yeah.
Right. So even 6-3, I think when you start dropping down to like if you're 5-4 or 4-5,
if you start off 0-3, 0-4,
well, 0-2 is still not a great start because I
know I saw that
the last like 2 years, but then there's also like.
We didn't play 17 games. That makes a difference. And
yeah, so I'm not as worried. I mean, they've shown the ability to like do some things. They have to put it all together in one game. And maybe it would be nice if our bye week was this week and they had like a chance to kind of shake all that out of their head. It's not. We've got quite some time to get to the bye week and
practice with tackling and people actually going full bore.
I would like to see maybe Dax Hill get a little bit more play. I think he was on the field like 3 plays. And I know I'm kind of
Chris Evans hasn't been in at all.
Yeah. There's some people calling and saying like there were quite a few people I saw saying like Mixon
throw him in for throw him in for a change of pace. See what you got.
But if
Mixon
you're
Mixon was also dealing with cramps, and it was either week 1 or week 2 where he was working cramps out on the sideline.
Yeah,
week 1.
Yeah.
So you've got that. I would like to see maybe a couple. Like you remember last year? I feel like last year there was a lot more like little bubble screens out to Jamar and then letting him kind of work. I don't know. Evan McPherson looked good again, as usual. He's got a long snapper again. So
if they don't ever, if anything is ever learned from this past week, is to have a backup long snapper ready to go
at all times.
Always. God.
Well, hey, Mitch Wilcox had 1 reception for 3 yards.
That's I believe 7 yards better than Drew Sample's 1 catch.
Drew Sample, I think, has.
He might be done.
Yeah,
for
that
the
was.
season. It was
Yeah.
nice. Moving on. Cincinnati played Miami in the battle for the victory bell. Again, I was down on the field. I was in the press box. Cool
Pulled pork.
cool experience to be down at Paycor in the press box of a stadium that I've been many times, never sober, inside.
How was parking?
Ended up being free. Worked
Oh,
out.
really?
Yeah, the I don't know if it was Zach Stipe. I don't know if it was somebody, one of the other SIDs or whoever pulled that off, but ended up being free parking for all of us. Did have to go in to the garage. It's the big garage where if you go in underneath the Holy Grail or over near Taste of Belgium, but they had our names and all of that. Easy in. Chad said it was Zach, so there you go. I did let Zach know I appreciated it on the sidelines. Just helping us out. $20. I wasn't trying. I mean, your media. What are you making media pay $20 to go to the stadium? I don't know. That's
Miami wanted the money.
I don't know if it was Miami or the Bengals, but or the garage. Well, I imagine the garage still got theirs.
Sure, the garage one.
But
anyways,
in any case, 38-17. Bearcats didn't look great first half. They did
Slow
not
start.
look great for the second time this season. Slow start.
so went down 17-3, right?
17-7.
17-7.
17-7.
Yeah, I think it was 17-7. But it was still not great. You guys watched the game at home, I take it, right? Both of you?
I missed. Well, we talked about this because
Yeah.
this is what started Ed saying he was going to quit the show. So I was at my kids' game for the first quarter and a half, and
It said he was like, the show.
I spoke with Aaron, and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna have to go
You
back
said,
and
who
watch."
knows?
I said, "I'm gonna have to go watch the first half of the game," and Aaron was like, "It's gonna make you real mad." And so then I
Did you go back and watch it?
I did. I watched.
Did it make
actually
you real mad?
It did. I went back and watched actually the entire game again because I had to prepare for my show, and so I did that. But then I paraphrased and inferred that Aaron would want me to drink bourbon to watch the first quarter, and Ed's like, "You didn't say that," and yeah, so
I was just making sure the
it
real
was-
facts were out there. That's all.
it was an inference. All right. So anyway, so then Ed got his feelings hurt.
No.
But
Jeff was a liar.
yeah. Okay. That's awful.
I don't remember ever saying
that
that
again.
Didn't you infer that I said that Joe Burrow was?
You did. You
a
said this
horrible
team
quarterback?
stink. This is for the lightning
you
round
said
later.
No.
Ed.
Okay.
Ben Bryant, 26 for 35, 337 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Chuck
Jeff.
McClellan, 18 carries, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns.
When I was on the field, I literally heard people screaming for Prater.
So you know where I'm going with what I'm talking about here because I
And
said this on my
of course
show
it
on
was-
Sunday.
Of course, it was in the fourth quarter. And bear in mind, I listened to as much of your show on Sunday as I could, but I was doing wind sprints
Yeah,
up
I know.
and down the staircase right here.
So you
with a
heard what I
screaming baby.
you heard with what I started with. It is absolutely ridiculous, and I know you made this point too. Ben Bryant is the quarterback for this team.
Yes.
Correct.
Chuck McClellan was the
Chunk.
featured. Chunk McClellan was the featured back on Saturday. He was the guy that got the. Yeah, he was the workhorse.
Be careful.
He was the guy, and he did a good job.
We mean no
18 carries,
disrespect at all
101
to
yards,
Chuck.
2 touchdowns for him. There were some fumbles across the team, some issues, whatever. Got the job done. There are people that are still losing their minds, saying that Ben Bryant needs to be, Evan needs to be out there. They're treating this year like it's a rebuilding year, and it's not. it's a reloading year, and they've reloaded, and they've got some dudes. Do you want to be Notre Dame, where you're essentially looking in the stands, hoping that somebody can be your quarterback? Because they've gone from Tyler Buckner to Drew Pine, who threw for like 90 yards. Granted, Notre Dame won this weekend, but they played Cal. Like, they should have won. And it was close.
You're the only
So
Notre
do you
Dame
want to
fan
be
in this podcast? So I'm sorry, but
What'd you say?
you're the only Notre Dame fan in this podcast.
I'm a fan. I mean, I'm a fan of the coach. Name has just all.
I just wanted Marcus to win a game.
Marcus Freeman.
I'm just saying, do you want to be in that situation?
No.
Or do you want to be in a situation where you got two dudes that probably could accomplish the same things, albeit in different ways? But right now, this is the guy. The coaches are saying this is the guy, and he's not doing anything to lose the job. It's absolutely ridiculous. You like a guy like, okay, so if Evan was going to take bench, he had spring ball and he had camp.
And spring game also.
To take the job. And he didn't. The coaches decided he didn't take the job. Ben Bryant did.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Bryant hasn't done anything to say that he should be on the bench.
If you're going to do that, the only opportune time that you had to do that, and this would have been a gutsy move, if you felt the quarterbacks were much closer than clearly they are, you do that after Ben's first pick against Arkansas.
Yeah.
If you don't do that in that particular situation, it's not happening unless he has 3 picks in a game, 4 picks in a game, and you have no other option, or barring injury.
Absolutely. And I don't think any of us are sitting here saying that Evan Prater's a bad quarterback, because I don't think he is.
No. Because
I think he's going to be very good.
Four-star quarterback.
Plenty of schools.
And I think he'll end up at Notre Dame next year.
Stop it. There are plenty of schools that would kill to have Evan Prater right now as their starter.
Absolutely.
Ed, Ben Bryant right now is in the conversation for like best quarterback. He's in the conversation. He's not at the top of the list. He's not top 5 on the list, but he's in the conversation.
I mean, there's just not a lot. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, re-break down, like, the Cincinnati-Miami game. I don't think that they're, I mean, we've kind of hit the things. Like, obviously, we've gone 10-10-10 on penalties this last game.
Yeah.
There was probably 5 of those penalties came when Evan Prater came in, and it was, like, all the, like, it was, like, some procedural things, which you're kind of bringing some dudes in. Timing's a little different, whatever. Maybe the cadence sounds weird. I don't know. I mean, there were a couple. You don't want to start the game off necessarily giving them a free 5 yards on their first drive, but that was Jawan Briggs. He was probably trying to, he's being aggressive there, trying to, maybe go on the count, maybe a half second early, whatever. I don't think there was anything that was like, I can't remember back now if there was anything crazy egregious, like where you're like, man, that's just stupid. Well, I lied. Was there like a hands to the face on the quarterback maybe at one point?
I don't remember that one.
I don't have it in my notes. So
I don't recall.
Maybe there wasn't.
The only hands to the face I can remember from this weekend was on Dallas, where they had one of the linemen's face masks up so high that his chin strap was over his nose.
So there's
that's another point. Hey, week 3, no helmets flying off. That's good stuff.
Nor in week 2, but
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We've made it 2 weeks now, but yeah.
The defense after that first, I know Aaron put out a tweet after that first like 75-yard.
There wasn't any. The
defense locked. They just locked out.
Yes.
Arquan, they went after Arquan a little bit
twice. And the third time was the charm.
Yep. And Hippenhammer is a good receiver.
What a name!
He came from Penn State, I believe.
Pause. If you hear that there is a receiver and his name is Hippenhammer, are you automatically like going to check him out? Like
Probably.
Somebody's like, he might be good. His name's Hippenhammer. We've heard some good things about him, regardless of what his first name is. It doesn't really matter. But Hippenhammer, I'm on the plane. I'm ready to go. You got a guy Hippenhammer? I'm ready to go.
Dave brought up a good point there.
Just like if you got a guy named Jizzle.
Sunday. Well, we'll get to that. On Sunday, Dave brought up a good point about like Arquan. He thinks Arquan is probably better in the slot. He's played there a lot more. So is what it is, but there's nobody. You're not if you move Arquan back to the slot, what are you going to do on the outside? And what is it, Sammy Anderson that's been playing in there? It is Sammy Anderson, right?
On the inside, yeah.
Yeah, and Taj Ward.
Those are the two.
So I believe I read a stat today that Sammy Anderson hasn't even been targeted when he's been in the slot. So
he also had an incredible read on they ran motion on one particular play. I was watching him because I'm like, oh, Sammy's out there, and they ran motion and I want to say they tried to run an end around and he was in the backfield before it even worked out. Like,
but our two guys that have been playing in the slot have been playing very well, and Arquan hasn't been playing like. I'm an Arquan. I like him.
I didn't expect Jaquan to step up the way Jaquan Shepard has stepped up. And I thought that would be the first position to go. I said by week 4, we'd be talking about JQ.
And we're not. Although I did have in my notes, he was in the backfield. I think he had a sack. Did he have a sack?
He had a sack. He did.
So,
because he's fast.
And he's gonna be very good too. But like, let's
pump the brakes.
Here's the thing, and I talked about it
because the upperclassmen are doing what they need to do.
If you want to have a team that is what Luke Fickell talks about, being a top 10 program in the country, not just a top 10 team this year, but you want to be a top 10 program in the country year in and year out, you are going to have guys that are on the bench that would start anywhere else. Right?
Yeah.
Is that not crazy to say? You're going to have guys on the bench that are going to start anywhere else, but guess what? They're not starting here, and it's nice to have those guys for when you need to give somebody a little breather. Maybe somebody tweaks something and they need to sit out for an extended period of time, and you don't have a big drop off when you move the next guy in. You're going to have that. So I guess maybe you're going to have some more arguments of play this guy, play that guy. Because you, like Ed said, if Luke Fickell ever leaves, there's 80 million coaches on Twitter that apparently are better. I'm done with it all.
Let's put it this way.
Hi, Chad.
Hi, boys. I've been listening. I got a tail now. Can you see my tail?
I saw that when you were in the waiting room.
That is really creepy.
Think of it this way. The best team in the country, the number one team in the country, the undisputed, what looks to be absolute juggernaut team, lost 15 guys to the NFL draft, and this team looks better than their national championship team. And their national championship team was better than their, double-digit draft pick Peach Bowl team. Like,
Chad, this goes back to the point that I've been making to you, though, on nightcaps the last couple nights, not tonight, but when we talked about Cincinnati being number 31 and getting the least amount of respect of anybody who's made the college football playoff.
Respect.
The only team we lost was a top 10 team.
Yeah, it's annoying. But that's what they have, great players waiting behind great players. I talked to Eric Phillips today, and I asked him, and Eric Phillips hasn't ascended to the level of great player yet. But his name is being called. Malik Vang is hurt, probably done for the year, might be done for his career.
He's damn sure made some plays this year, though.
And Eric Phillips is stepping into that role and making a name for himself. That's how this shit works, man. Like
another Cole Rain boy.
Well, that kind of started. Think about it. That's been going on. Anybody that listened to the Garrett Campbell interview from last night on the BBP when he said that they were. He said no disrespect to them, but at the time he was glad whenever he was getting reps against like Maje and those guys because he wasn't going against Marquise Copeland
Cortez and Cope.
Yeah, so he wasn't going against like that's what you want. You want to like if we're having arguments over replacing a guy that was 26 for 35 for 337, 2 touchdowns. He had one interception that was, he tried to force one and got tipped. Whatever. If you're talking about wanting to replace that guy, I guess we're in a good spot.
Yeah, it's the Evans stuff is so silly. It's so silly. Like,
okay, if we're talking about putting Kiner in instead of for to make him
the guy out there at 18 rushes for 101 yards,
right,
and 2 touchdowns,
and they're different backs. Like
sure.
I talked about, I know every one of our podcasts is coming up, but like they're different backs.
And I the Kiner thing, there was kind of an injury to him on Saturday.
He was dinged up.
He cut his finger to the point that he dapped somebody up on the sidelines. And they looked at their hand and there was blood. And they were like, "What'd you do?" And he's like, "I didn't do anything." He had gloves on. And they were like, "Well, here." And they squeezed his finger and blood started squirting out of the glove.
I've seen this happen before in baseball.
And they were like, "We got a problem inside there that we gotta get to the bottom of," which is why his carries were limited. Like, sometimes there is stuff going on,
weird shit
that we don't know about.
And that's the other point that I've made several times here is it's nice at the running back position where Ryan Montgomery
I think is going to be back this week.
So you can rotate a guy in and you're not really you're getting a different look.
Yeah.
Whereas Kiner's Kiner looks for some contact and is making his headway that way. You've got a guy you can bring Chuck in. You got the speed there. Like you have
Chunk.
You're trying to make that a thing. When you can rotate these guys out and you're not losing really anything outside of it being a different type of running back.
I think the interesting thing about Chuck is he's been surprisingly good between the tackles. Have there been some plays where he's been stopped at the line of scrimmage? Yes, but when you're running inside zone, there are going to be plays where you get tackled. But there are also going to be, if you have a guy that can do it, chunk plays, which Aaron doesn't have any understanding of a chunk play.
Needs to be 20 or better.
Well, then Chuck has like 1, 2, the whole
You're defeating the purpose of me calling him that.
No, you're double standarding what a chunk play is.
100%, and that's fine.
Chad disagrees.
100%.
Chad disagrees with Aaron's.
100%. I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth with this one, and I'm totally okay with that. But if I'm going by the Luke Fickle definition, he is Chunk McClelland. If I am going by my definition, maybe not Chunk McClelland.
I just can we let this team find its if they win tomorrow, they go 3-1 in out of conference play, and they go into American Athletic Conference play. Clearly
Saturday, not
the best team in this league.
No one's playing tomorrow.
Saturday, you know what I mean.
Somebody's playing tomorrow. It's Wednesday.
There's no Max Wednesdays.
Anyhow, we're not to Max Wednesdays yet. They haven't started Mac play. Saturday.
That's Max and Aaron right there.
I hate you.
Max and Aaron.
Jeff, did you see that we have 2 guys that want to come up with money?
I did see that. I was commenting, but Aaron put me in timeout and wiped out all my comments.
That want to come up with money to force Aaron to do the AAC recap next year when UC's no longer in the AAC.
I saw it and I agreed with it, and then Aaron booted me out of chat.
Chad, you know that
again. That's 2 weeks in a row.
You and I have to do that together. You know that, right?
Oh, but I have fun tormenting you.
Lamar Howard.
You think that the work I'm doing right now is subpar Just wait. If I have to cover this shit again, you're going to get scores. I don't care who did anything. You're going to get scores.
Hunter wants to know if we think that we'll clean up the penalties this week.
No, I think this is who this team is. This is us.
I think
This
you
is
would
who they
hope. This is. I would hope as the season progresses, the pre-snap offensive line
The
penalties,
procedural
will,
stuff.
yeah,
And-
go away.
Two of this week's penalties, in all fairness, were on John Williams, who is not a
3.
starter. Was it 3?
Yeah.
All right. And
He
then
was was the illegal man downfield,
and then he got pulled, and they put Tunstall back in.
and James was not happy about that.
Nor should he be. He earned it. He earned that time on the sideline.
Right. He had 2 false starts, and before that, he was the illegal man downfield
That's the
that
one.
wiped out the Prater
That's,
run.
that's the one I was missing.
So yeah. I just like, in order to be great, in order to be a team that is a top 10 program and year after year after year competes at the highest level of the sport, you have to have Evan Prater on the bench. You have to have Corey Kiner on the bench. And those 2 names are just because they're the 2 guys that everybody is talking about right now.
That's what
But
Luther
that
didn't
means
understand.
is-
That's what Luther didn't understand.
Right. What that means is talent replaces talent, replaces talent, replaces talent, and you keep the train rolling. You don't do that if there's this massive drop off because you had 9 guys go to the NFL and the team stinks this year. That's not how it works. Then you're just another flash in the pan.
You're a team from Florida somewhere.
Well, I think we're cutting into our Indiana Cincinnati preview.
I turned it down this week, Chad.
But we are
Clearly.
previewing Indiana Cincinnati.
It's only on 96 this time.
No, it's on 45.
The boys are back home, back in Nippert. I still have 2 tickets for sale, by the way, for the second row.
But he's not selling those on the Bearcat Nation Facebook group.
because I don't list. I list them on Twitter, not on Facebook.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Thank you for not.
If you want, list them in the banks.
Ooh, the banks.
We'll do all right. Tobler hit me up, and I have not heard yet back from Tobler after I responded. So
So you like that?
I'm
Tobler.
waiting. I'm waiting to respond to everybody else because Tobler hit me up. He was the only person that I was already friends with, and I'm like,
The only way Tobler can have him is if he comes on the show.
Ed, you woke up Steven's dog.
I apologize, Steven. I will turn it down a little bit more.
So,
So last
Anyway,
week we did 50.
Indiana comes in undefeated. They are a Big Ten undefeated team, and
not
Cincinnati-
all 3-0s are made the same.
Luke Fickell talked about it in his presser today that if he were Indiana's coach, he would have circled this game, and this would be the game that would mean the most to him after getting shellacked in Indiana.
In front of the biggest crowd that they've had for a non-conference game in
They
decades.
ran out of water, Jeff. They ran out of water. Can you
I wasn't
imagine?
there. I wouldn't
Can you
know.
imagine Nippert running out of water?
Yeah, it's not good.
They ran out of beer. They ran out of water. They ran out of everything.
It's like Pitt in 2009 running out of hot chocolate.
Well, they ran out of fans, and then the
Hot
fans tried to
chocolate.
come back in, if you remember that correctly.
I would like to see them start off fast. I know that's something every coach everywhere says,
Luke
and
said
every
the
fan
same
everywhere
thing.
says,
Virginia,
but
Aaron. That was West Virginia,
Ooh,
Aaron.
you're right. You're right. Oh, thought I had you.
let's
Dumbass.
You're right.
let's maybe cut down on
Dumbass.
some of the procedural penalties. Let's start fast. This is a game that Cincinnati absolutely should win, and I think win handily as long as they, take care of business early on so that they're not fighting out of a hole again.
At the end of the day, you got it.
It's a Big Ten team. Like,
This is what gets you back on track.
Yeah.
If you want people to respect you, this win
RESPEC.
I mean, let's say you win.
And
If you
now
win,
what it means to me.
if you win
I
that
think
Arkansas game at the beginning of the year, you're probably
Second to me.
top 15, 12, something like that, instead of sitting at like 31 behind,
31.
all
App
these other
State.
teams. I mean, I guess that Oregon loss to Georgia doesn't look as bad because Georgia looks like probably the best college football team of all time.
Yeah, but how much did the voters shit on Arkansas because they lost to Cincinnati? If the tables are turned, right?
Yeah.
To where
I don't know.
Maybe we aren't top 15, but if I don't know that they shoot up in the rankings because I don't. Is Indiana ranked? Are they ranked at? I don't believe they're ranked. I don't think they're even in the those receiving votes in the bottom.
They're not even good.
So
Yeah, they're.
yeah, I don't think we shoot up in the rankings. I think we cracked the top 25.
No, they're not ranked.
Are
Number
they in the-
72 in ESPN.
Yeah, that's
they're
shit.
they're not even. Yeah, there's.
Oh, but that was back in May. Never mind. Sorry.
No, after week 4, they are not ranked and are not even receiving votes.
All right, so
If rankings are your thing, that's
Matt says
what that is.
17-point favorites. I think that
They opened it, I think, 15. So
14.
okay, so 14, and now they're 17.
That's the biggest spread that we've had. Obviously not in Arkansas, but
They should be 0-3. Indiana should be 0-3. They almost lost to Western Kentucky and Idaho.
Take care of business.
Do what you gotta do. Win
Beat the shit out of them.
games. And we should.
Play to win the game.
So they won 33-30 in overtime against Western Kentucky. They won 35-22 against Idaho, and they won 23-20 over Illinois.
All games they were losing in the fourth quarter.
And Illinois is 2-1 thus far.
Trash.
With their
Garbage.
wins coming over Virginia and Wyoming. So. And Ed's heard enough about that.
That wasn't me.
The Wes Miller recruiting segment. Glad Chad is still here. Chad, it's been a week. Since last week, there's been a lot of things going on, a lot of rumors around.
Look, I told everybody 2.5 weeks ago that shit was about to get wild and that this program was about to be playing high stakes poker at a lot of tables. And here we are. I wasn't kidding. This dude is from North Carolina. He is used to a certain standard when it comes to understanding what it takes to win at the highest level.
This shit
He
is
bringing
different.
that standard to Cincinnati. Period.
When was the last time we had a coach who literally was just like, this is the best player these are the players I'm going after, and I don't care who else is going after them. I'm doing it. When was the last time?
Oscar.
Oh, speaking of which, I got my pictures, but we can talk about that later.
Thanks, Ed.
I hate you.
You don't hate me. You love me.
I mean, when you start looking at, I mean, I know that there were some like recruiting wish lists that went out that left a certain individual off that was here last weekend. You don't have to actually like mention who
We talked about we got a good deal of this on the nightcap tonight, so make sure you go watch that too.
Yep. It's
After this.
It's a short form version. I'm sure it's probably, what is it, like probably 20 minutes long.
20. I think we even went 21 tonight. That's how.
So there you go. So there will be other talk if you want some other views that if you didn't make it this long. But you've got well, we have Rayvon Griffith. He's already committed. That is
correct.
The commit for now. Correct. That's correct. Where we're at.
Yes.
Then you've got I hope I don't butcher his name, Flory Badunga. Is that right?
That is correct, sir.
If we don't,
and he was crystal balled by 247, right?
Let me just say this.
if we don't play into that name,
Given a lot of things that, and hold on.
Okay, I got you, sir.
Given a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes, the people at Indiana University are not happy with the University of Cincinnati right now.
Well, that's
I'm not gonna be happy after Saturday either, but
Cincinnati is working to, and if you are on Bearcat Journal and you are following what's going on, Cincinnati is working to take away what is maybe Indiana's biggest pipeline in the AAU circuit.
Oh,
sorry about your luck.
That's the connection to the Indiana Elite AAU basketball program, who Flory Badunga plays for.
and here's the other thing is like, I mean, you talk about West being a North Carolina guy, and this is the standard he's used to, yada yada yada. His ability and his staff's ability to locate individuals wherever they may be ranked, because Badunga wasn't even in the rankings.
He wasn't
at
even
all.
ranked.
I mean, he jumps up. He's like
4, 3.
He's up
4,
to what, 4,
2.
5, 6, something like that.
He's between 2 and 4, like in the major services.
So you got that. You've got a guy like Isaiah Collier who
was in the 30s.
Who the Bearcats have treated like a number one recruit in the country since they started. I mean, you hear that from his coach. I think it was in the Justin Williams article today. So if you have a subscription to The Athletic, go read that article.
It was very good.
It's very, very good. I don't think there's ever a Justin Williams article that I say is not very good. So go read it. It's worth the subscription. And I think right now you can get it like whatever, 70% off or something. But to target guys that aren't necessarily the number one guy at that time because they see what they can be, and to treat them as such when they aren't at necessarily that ranking level that the rest of the country is, all of a sudden they
still
wait
catching up to, right?
Right.
Everybody's catching up to their evaluation.
Is something that we should, or that should count for something.
Sure. The first game this spring that I was at, AAU,
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, was
okay.
A Flory Badunga game. And Cincinnati staff was right there front and center. And I tweeted. The first thing I tweeted from my AAU coverage this spring and summer was, it's really fun, and the paraphrasing, it's really fun seeing a lottery pick before anybody knows who they are. And the only reason I was there was because the Cincinnati staff, that was the first game that they were watching in that evaluation period of the spring, was to go see Flory Badunga. They knew. You'll love this, Jeff. His high school coach. Do you remember the Pekin Paul kid that played for Indiana, Purdue, or Fort Wayne?
I think I read it. Go ahead.
That's his high school coach. That is somebody that Mike Roberts has a very close relationship with.
Well, I read there was an article. It was actually from The Athletic from over the summer. Seth Davis wrote it, where they talked to, I think she is like the high school he went to in Indiana, because he came over here from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yep. He's from Congo. She
said that this academy, whatever, they get a lot of kids from outside the country.
They specialize in their international program. They actually have like dorms on campus for these kids. Like they bring in 100, 150 international kids a year.
So she said that they usually the international kids, like, they're like, hey, I like sports, when they do their interview to bring them up. I like sports. This is what I play. Yada yada yada. And she's like, a lot of times they get here and they realize like sports where they came from aren't at the same level as sports here, and maybe they still play when they get here, but whatever. he gave her his height in centimeters. And so she was like, and she's like,
gotta
well,
look that up.
She's like, okay, well, he's tall. And then he got here and, he hadn't been playing basketball very long. But then his coach realized like very quickly that he is special.
Yeah.
And
Special.
Like special. And he only weighs like 215 pounds right now. Right? Or maybe
I think he's a little bigger than he's a little bigger than that probably, but he's not filled out yet.
Get
but
that.
He's
the monster
got the
figure.
frame.
The word that they wrote was chiseled.
He's got the frame.
So
He's like
get him in the monster factory and let's see what we can do. So this back to my original point, this staff's ability to locate kids that aren't yet at the top of the rankings and realize that it's a special kid that will likely launch to the top of the rankings. I mean, you're looking at potentially, if you Collier being a number one kid in the country, potentially coming here. I mean, we're in the running. And if you see, I know, like, if you look at his, because he tweeted out today that he was going to be making his commitment date known sometime soon, whether his commitment date.
So let's make that clear, because there's some idiots on the internet that are trying to clickbait people into subscribing for things that info that's not correct.
Yeah, as soon as I put the subscribe banner across the bottom, thanks.
No.
You can subscribe here.
Subscribe on YouTube and Twitch. It's
definitely subscribe.
Looking at you, rivals.
So the thing is he's saying that he is putting out his commitment date, he's not committing.
Right.
He's putting out the date that he will commit. Yep. And if you want to read whatever tea leaves you want to read and decide whatever you want to decide, do that on your own. You don't need to go anywhere special.
Also, just real quick, Jeff Gentile has tweeted, and these aren't official numbers, but 359
unofficial numbers.
Yeah, unofficial numbers, but 359 comments / gifts on the Collier tweet. Sorry, 2 for Michigan, 1 for USC, 356 for UC.
It's not far off. There were maybe at like 3 more Michigan tweets than Jeff gave credit for.
Okay, all right.
But you guys dominated
the UC fan base. I think what a lot of these, and you know what, a lot of these kids, they feel the love whenever they start when UC coach, and that goes for
starving
football.
For this shit.
We're starving.
That
for
even
basketball.
goes all the way to like women's tennis. Like when they were tweeting out that they were bringing in all these like big time girls tennis, like women, 5-star women.
Tweets.
Those girls were getting blown. I mean, it is blown up too. Like it is what it is. But if you bring in Collier and he ends up as the number 1 player in the country, which he should be. Say you bring him in, but Donga is on pace to potentially also be at least a top 5 guy by the end of that, maybe even another number 1.
I think he's the best player in 2024. Personally, he's the best player I've seen in the 2024 class.
And then Samto was here last weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's currently in the 2024 class.
Yeah, he's top 30, right in that top 30 range.
So what you're seeing here is
Jeff, I put up another kid tonight that Wes is going to spend tomorrow with Arlington Page and Isaiah Collier in Atlanta all day. Okay. And then Thursday, he's going to see a kid named Ace Bailey, who's from Atlanta, who's number 8 in 2024. Another high 5-star. And then when he's done seeing him, he's going to go see Samto. Like, this is recruiting at a level
that we aren't used to here.
It never happened here. Not Hugs.
Not like this.
No.
Not even Hugs was doing this.
No,
like this,
we didn't have social media back then, but you're right. Hugs was at the community college, which was great. That was what you had to do at the time.
Well, I mean, if you look,
it's different.
If you look at the 1999 class, DeMar, Satterfield, I had to put the ring light on. I didn't think I was going to be staying this long, but you guys have advertised the shit out of me being here now, so I can't go anywhere.
Wave to the fans.
You can thank your partner for that.
Like there was a couple top 30 kids in 2024 they popped up on that didn't even move the needle. People are just like, we're busy right now. Like we'll get to those almost 5 stars down the road. Okay, like Jace Richardson. You know who Jace Richardson is, Jeff?
He's probably the son of somebody.
Jay Rich? Jason Richardson? Yeah.
I mean, but is that what, like...
This is West, man.
But
I'm here for
that's the excitement level. I mean,
yes.
that coupled with like the move to the Big 12, right?
Well, that's
like
what this is all about, right?
And but you have the move to the Big 12, and then you also have, I mean, you can't downplay the success of the football team meshing back in
momentum,
with that. The momentum that gave the athletic department and the fan base, right? Like if we don't go through the prior regime,
sure.
If we don't go through the prior regime here where there was so much hate built, and then the excitement level that came in with the new hire, similar to what happened with football. What did I say? Prior?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, right.
You can't downplay what that has done. And then, like we said, when there are kids, most of the time, our fans are smart enough about the way that they hype up the recruits that are coming in.
Send gifts, like hype it
There's
up.
some silliness that happens with whatnot, like, oh, I can't believe whatever. Like, be smart about it. You know, we can interact with them and hype them up in every way to let them know if you come here, you're gonna get the energy from the student section, from the alumni, from the fans of the team. You're gonna have that.
And by the way, we will bring the energy. Like there's no question about it.
You're also going to have, I mean, there's so much happening within the athletic department with like the facilities and what they are able to do for them. I don't think, I mean, you can't go wrong. It's me as a Cincinnati fan telling these kids, like, you can't go wrong coming here. But if you go somewhere else, like, I wish you success.
As I told Aaron on the nightcap, if you're going to the game, if you're going to be on campus, make a sign for Jizzle James, Arlington Page, walk by the tailgate, the basketball tailgate that's right by the Oscar statue, and give them a chant their name in the student section for the students that are listening. This is important to get this ball rolling in 2023, because if you get the ball rolling with the Jizzle James and an Arlington Page and then an Isaiah Collier, and now everybody is looking at Cincinnati as kind of the new, trendy, hot thing. And they finish with a top 5 recruiting class. And then they're stacking in 24 like we know that they're looking to do. Like this momentum right now, between now and signing day, which is in the second Wednesday, starts the second Wednesday of November. The momentum between now and then is maybe the most critical period this program has seen in 2 decades.
Ever.
Because here's the thing: is you're rolling into the Big 12, and you can't roll.
You go in there with a bad roster, you're going to get dog walked,
and you're going to be suddenly you are not going to have the same momentum that you have right now to get these kids to say, look,
right?
We're building to this, like we're building into the best basketball conference. This is where we're headed, and you can help take us there. But if you roll in there with a roster of cast-offs from
12 and 17 the first year,
like it's all bad, and then everybody's looking around, and
right?
Maybe we have to buy football tickets to be able to get into
weekend. Do your part. If you see those guys
in a classy way,
don't be crazy.
In a classy way, do your part. Let's not scare them off.
Right,
selfie with them.
Don't be crazy, but just
but ask first. Like
don't be out of pocket.
Do you mind if I take a selfie with you?
Jizzle.
Go buy before you've drank too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron. Speaking from experience, Aaron says,
Say your piece and move on, and let somebody else so that they know like this is the spot to be. We want you here. We will cheer for you here. Let's do
Matt, don't be stupid. Come on.
I was always trying to say hi to the old heads when I was drinking too much, not the young guys.
BearcatJournal.com, Matt.
Daniel says
Ed,
Ed.
don't go near them. That's great advice. That's great advice.
If I see Jizzle James on campus, I'm just letting him know that I'm the first one buying this jersey.
Do you have his dad's jersey to like show him how much you support him?
Yeah,
no,
you should,
but if I need to go find it on eBay, I will.
You probably should find one by Saturday.
I mean, I'm not going to be.
Imagine if there's like
he's not going
if there's
to the
like
game.
50
I'm in soccer
people in
tournaments.
Edger and James jerseys at the game on Saturday.
Yeah, that would be wild. Hey, if anybody can start that ball rolling, Chad, I think just maybe a little.
Maybe I'll put it on Twitter tonight. Just
Yeah.
how many people can we get in Edger and James jerseys at the game on Saturday?
That'd be something.
Maybe one of those T-shirt companies can fire off a whole bunch of Edger and James like T-shirt jerseys.
We know a guy.
Maybe.
Those t-shirts.
I got ideas.
Hey, they are out on the internet, guys. I mean, there is one for $30 or best offer. There's a $10 or best offer. I mean, this can happen.
It's Tuesday night. You should be able to get it by Friday, right?
I mean, some of these have free shipping.
Yeah, but free shipping's not necessarily going to get.
That's fair. You're right. No, you're right. It's not going to get here on time.
So
I mean, they have to be coming from Indianapolis. Maybe we could just meet them halfway.
I mean, I could. I'm sure there's a T-shirt company that we work with that if they wanted to do it, maybe they could print off a bunch of them for a good cause.
Chad, anything else you want to add as we look into Wes Miller recruiting?
No, I mean it's fun, man. Like it's fun to be relevant again. It's fun.
It hasn't been this fun in a while.
It's fun to like every name that pops up is
if
they're outside the top 50,
you're shocked.
They're outside the top 50. You're like
when you see these big names pop up with a little C-Paul under there, and there's only like one or two other teams with it, and you're like, oh yeah, that if that guy commits here, it's not just he's not keeping us on his list as a favor.
Matt, I'll just go ahead and
see what you did there, Jeff.
I did too. Matt, look up the name Drew Adams. And then
somebody might need to be in timeout.
Understand some things.
I'm not going to put Daniel in timeout, but
Daniel, calm down. Why live in the past right now? Why worry about any of that shit?
I found a pair of shoes at the Dick's outlet store over in Dick's Sporting Goods outlet store, Jeff, over in Kenwood, and I was like, "Ooh, these are nice shoes." I was going to buy them. They had Wisconsin logos on them, so I did not.
Yeah, you should leave those where they're at.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I know, Matt. I'm messing with you too. I'm messing with you back. We're having a playful back and forth because you're trying to see how far you can get me to go in what I will say on this podcast tonight.
I think I heard the noise though. So, bye, Chad.
are we waiting? There we go. All right. I'm gonna start lightning round off this week because I didn't have one last week that was worth a darn. Stop playing college football games in NFL stadiums.
Yeah, okay.
It is absolutely ridiculous. When the camera pans around and like Miami doesn't open the top deck because they can't fill it. Luke Fickell said today in his presser like he was sure that UC would have filled it and we would have opened the top deck down there.
Jeff, Miami didn't even go down into their seats because they were directly in the sun and their ivory skin couldn't handle that.
Dude, as it panned around, and then you sent a picture of UCLA in the Rose Bowl, which I know is not an NFL stadium, but apparently UCLA also can't fill their own home stadium. with any more than, and I guess it's the first week of class there, and that's like
Move-in weekend, yeah.
Move-in weekend, and there's I don't know, like 15 kids in the stands. It's like 30 miles away. Troy Aikman said that they should just build a 30,000 seat stadium on campus. I don't know where they would end up putting that, but back to my original point, I'm tired of seeing it's not the same atmosphere. It's not. Just put.
Have you guys seen the very first, never done before, sauce trading card with sauce on it?
Well, this was not the next topic, but go on.
Oh, you're right. I skipped the topic. That's fine.
Keep going.
This card is being auctioned off by Sauce Gardner.
What's it currently at? Do you have that?
Buffalo Wild
up?
Wings. I do have that pulled up. The current bid is $40,001.
Is still at 4001.
$40,001. I also want this to be known. They kind of took this idea from me. I had this idea.
To put sauce on a card and then sign it.
My idea was to have to get a card and put actually my idea was to have him sign it in sauce, but that's fine.
You don't think they already had that idea when they asked him to?
No, I think they found my idea on the internet and took it, but it is what it is.
He signed it there. That was how he was signing things. Cincinnati is a great city with lots of rich history and entertainment. And for those of you who have ever been to this city, looking at you, one particular person who is leaving the city and doing it with clearly a bad taste in your mouth, maybe you worked for PFF, and we won't mention any names here in this space, but I'm just saying, this city has a lot of rich history, the German culture. They have some things that maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't. I don't know if you ventured out of your apartment, house, home, wherever you were, but there's a lot to do in the city. And if you had literally not a good thing to say about this entire city in the 5 years you were here, I just kind of feel bad for you.
Is it me again?
Yes.
Do you guys hear the big news this week?
Reds Fest.
Reds Fest is back, and I believe Caleb will be signing autographs as the first person to catch 6, almost 7 home runs in one season. He'll be signing autographs all season, all weekend long. Make sure you check that out. Bring a ball.
That's not a thing that's happening.
He might have a ball or two that you can.
That's not
He just wanted to share that again.
He shared that again because it bombed when he put it out on Twitter.
No, this is a new one. See, this has the Reds Fest logo on it, and it says he'll be signing autographs all weekend long. So I just made this one.
Next.
Fair.
I can't hit the buzzer right now. Go ahead. Next.
Well, did you guys see the punt that hit the scoreboard in the Bengals Dallas game that they then decided didn't hit it because they couldn't find a camera angle, and then suddenly the broadcast had a camera angle of the ball very clearly.
How did they not have scoreboard? How did they not have camera angles?
They did. There was a camera angle, but apparently,
I'm saying, why did it take so long to get that camera angle? Like, why don't they have all camera angles readily accessible for the people in the tent or looking at the windows? Unreal.
And well, the other thing with it was the announcers were like, "Well, it's not a big deal. That's where they're gonna end. That's where they would end up with the ball anyway."
Who knows?
How do you know that?
You don't.
We don't.
Because guess what, Trent hit.
All right, Ed, I did this for you today. There is one team that continues to tie or win.
They won.
They don't lose. So I did wear this for you. That is a shirt. And
FC
also,
Cincinnati played at 9:30 on Saturday night. 9:30 p.m. I can't remember who they played. Awesome. I don't remember who they played.
Who cares?
But they won. It was a great game. They won.
Real Salt Lake, wasn't it?
I did this for you. I did this for you, Ed. You're welcome.
Great game. Thank you. Oh, it's me. Joey Votto is on TV again. And now he's cracking jokes at Barry Larkin. Barry Larkin asked him if he's seen Aquino's new approach to the plate. And Joey Votto said, "No, Barry, I don't watch TV."
Huh.
Or something like that. But this is what, the 5th time that he's been on TV since he's been injured for the rest of the year. Not to mention, he's also been hitting up some high school football games. So good for him.
He's working on his next chapter.
Here for it.
Pumpkin beer. Are you guys a fan?
I actually have some pumpkin beer upstairs in the fridge.
Good.
Pumpkin. I think I had one. Yeah, I was drinking one last night while I was RPing. Now I have to tell you guys this. Michelle and I went to Jungle Jim's and we were day drinking while we were shopping today, or this was yesterday at Jungle Jim's. They have it's Down East Brewery. They have a pumpkin cider beer that is delicious.
Pumpkin is gross.
That's fine.
I do like pumpkin donuts though.
Ooh, pumpkin donuts do sound good, actually.
All right. I wanted to take this last opportunity for anyone who is still here. Let us know how we did tonight. Let us know in the comments on YouTube. Let us know on Twitter. Let us know on the BCJ boards, wherever you want to. Let us know. Let us know what you like, what you dislike, how we can continue to improve. We want to continue to put forth the best effort that we can week upon week. And with this new format, with the timeouts as we're doing, we're trying to continue to give you the best product that we can. So let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, I just second that. This one did go a little longer than what our new format has been going, but we had some big
we had some good
big news to talk about in the basketball world, which we haven't really had a lot of recently. I think their first open practice, at least for media and stuff, is on the 26th. And I'm sure that there will be plenty of information on the Bearcat Journal boards. So you should probably go subscribe there. It's not that expensive and it's worth it.
And make sure you hit subscribe on our YouTube channel and our Twitch channel if you wouldn't mind, please. We got to get that count up. Looks like we gained about 5 subscribers tonight, so that's nice. That's good.
And make sure you click on our Twitch channel. That helps the algorithm.
Yeah, and I think on our Twitch channel, I think we're going to start playing some Madden.
Yes, we're getting there.
So sounds good.
Hit over the bum of the week.
Anybody gonna hit the bum of the week?
Oh, I'll hit the bum of the week. Yeah.
You're training like a damn bum, you know that? Bum. A bum. You are a bum. You're a bum. And that's all you'll ever be. A bum.
Well, that hurts, man.
Ed, this one goes out to your brother, Greg.
That's not on the list.
Who is an Arizona State fan.
That isn't.
Arizona State did Herm Edwards dirty this week. You can tell Greg I said that.
He might be listening.
Maybe. He hasn't been he's normally in the chat when he's listening. So
Greg put something in the chat.
Herm Edwards got fired in the end zone by what everybody took that video for what it was. If he was actually fired there in the end zone and said, or even if they said, hey, it's time that we had a talk. I just felt like the aesthetics of whatever that was
not the time or the place,
inappropriate. And I don't feel like any coach, whether, and obviously in the group chat that we're in, some other people were offended that it was a black man that was treated that way in the end zone. White, black, I don't care. Unless you do something wildly egregious that goes against the rules of just regular law, or something happens where like just players are I don't know, just something crazy happens on the field.
I was gonna say I can't think of any time where it would be okay to fire a coach. Like, I mean,
it shouldn't ever happen this way. It wasn't a good look for the school. It wasn't a good look for Herm. It wasn't a good look for the AD. It wasn't a good look for the president. It wasn't a good look for anybody involved. It was terrible aesthetically for the way that Herm Edwards appeared to be fired on the field post-game. And I know we've heard of tarmac firings, and I don't know how to feel about that either. I think that in an office, in private, is the best way to handle something like this. Like even Tommy Tuberville, like telling a kid to go to hell, get a job. Like, are you going to grab him by the scruff of his neck and pull him aside and be like, no, like this isn't how we do things. You're fired. Like,
it wasn't good.
No,
it wasn't good at all.
Any last thoughts before Aaron sends us out of here.
You got wrestling minute, Ed?
No, I'm struggling with the wrestling minute right now, but
Fair.
welcome back, MJF. My guy.
I mean, don't they have a whole new leadership right now where you're just missing out on all of the groundwork that they're laying for
WWF?
Well, it's
Or
not been
WWE, sorry.
It's not been WWF for
WWE is not. I'm following it.
almost
I'm following
2
it.
decades.
I'm following it. It's just I haven't taken notes while watching it. Let's be flat out honest here. I haven't taken notes while watching it, and so I need to start doing that. I just start watching it. I'm eating some popcorn, and then I'm like, crap, forgot to take notes.
All right.
Is there
Wrap it up.
Is there anything fun or interesting going on if you had a minute?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Owens is out here putting people in their spot, telling them to be interesting, be like be, if you want to be a champion, act like a freaking champion, which is pretty awesome. And then MJF got married this weekend, so congratulations to him.
Who's that?
That's a guy called Cincinnati Mid that
Maxwell Jacob Freeman. Yeah,
that Ed's now a big fan of. So
All right. Well, Mid guy with his Burberry scarf. All right. Well, that was another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. Thank you to those who joined us because Chad was with us talking basketball recruiting, and maybe you stuck around for the rest of our shenanigans. But for Chad Brendel, for the self-proclaimed best producer in the city, Ed Mayhall, for Jeff Howell, where you can catch him every Sunday on the Bearcat Brunch at 9:30, I am Aaron Smith, and we're out.
bye.